I'm Blitz and welcome to the no bullshit tutorial on how to put a grab toggle of anything on your VRChat avatar, using just things that come with the SDK. No VRC Fury, no nothing except for our lovely gesture manager so we can actually test things in the SDK without building it and launching the game. Thus, this can be made quest compatible with very few changes. However, this is going to be mostly focusing on PC, as this tutorial is going to use constraints which are not available on Quest due to arbitrary limitations by the VRChat team. This is also going to be working under the assumption that you already have a working avatar and you're familiar with how to make normal toggles and how animators work. If you don't already know how those work, watch a tutorial from someone like Sip's Avatar Box. With that out of the way, let's get to the tutorial. So, we've got this Phase 1 clone model, and we've got this sphere. The sphere is what we are going to be toggling. Now, normally you can just replace the sphere with whatever you want. Make it a gun, make it a melee weapon, do whatever. Now, first thing you're going to do is go here, add a parent constraint component. You're going to add two sources, and after that you're going to create two new empties under your avatar's hierarchy. Just like that. Now you're going to name these according to where it's going to put the object on your body. Or you can just go holstered and held. So for this one is going to be sphere holstered, and this one is going to be sphere held. After that, you're going to go back to your object and drag your held and holstered constraint targets in, and then you're going to press the 0 button right next to activate. Now, after doing that, you're going to want to change the 1 on held to a 0. As first, we're going to place where it will be on its rest pose when it's not in your hand. Just like that, right? Now, for this next part, you can do this a couple of ways. You can drag it onto your hand in the hierarchy, or your avatar's hand in the hierarchy, and then just entirely reset its positioning. Or you can use a parent constraint onto the hand bone, and then have another constraint, or have another empty object under this empty object that will act as the constraint target for your bone. Or you can just pose it to the hand like this, return it to your normal hierarchy, like your base hierarchy, and then attach it there. Pose it through the bone, then move it back to the base and use another parent constraint to parent it to the hand. But the way of doing it with the hand is just easier, so we're going to do that. Plus, just dragging it under the bone is the easiest way to do this. So, the clone trooper is fucking ballin'. So, next up, we're going to drag our sphere holstered onto our pelvis bone. We're going to clear that so it's 2 zeros and it's entirely unanimated. We're going to go to our phase 1 clone, well in my case, but you're going to go to the animator controller tab beneath your avatar, import your FX controller, and after that you're going to make two new animation clips. One for when you want this on your body, and one for when you want this on your hand. So we're going to start with the hand one, and you can just copy these. So shift click both to copy them. And then on the off, you can just paste those and they'll be there. But you're going to want to do the exact opposite numbering. Just like that. Now, so we've I'm just gonna entirely get rid of those layers because I forgot to from the last time I did this. So, you're going to make 2 new animator layers. One is going to control the animation of the sphere between your hands, and we're going to call it sphere equip. And one is going to be the driver, which is the main part of what makes grab toggles work. And we're going to call that sphere driver. Don't forget to set these animation layer weights to 1. Otherwise, it just won't work. Now you're going to add 3 states beneath the driver, or in the driver layer, so that way it will actually do what you want it to do. Because, you know, generally that's a good thing. Now we're going to name one off, not of, off, and we're going to name the other on. Wow, so advanced so far, I know. Here comes the part that is actually, you know, the main magic of how this works. And of course, we're going to rename our center state to idle. So we've got our 3 different driver layers here. We're going to make a new transition from off and on to idle. We're going to go back to our sphere, or our sphere held, rather. Or no, our sphere holstered, sorry. And we're going to, you can either create a new empty, or you can just add a fizz bone directly to the holstered, but I prefer to just add a new empty. We're going to name it sphere fizz bone. And we're going to turn off posing entirely. We're going to crank immobile up to 1, so it's not mobile at all. And from and under this tick box where it says allow grabbing, we're going to swap that to other and untick allow others. So that way it will only be us that can use our magical little tick box of gloriousness. After this, we're going to set sphere holstered as the root transform for this. So that way it will be its entirely own self-contained thing. And we're going to scale this accordingly. Name the parameter something easy to remember. So sphere grab. You're going to want to remember this is grabbed boolean down here. In your animator, you're going to want to go to parameters and add it. It's already here because I already put it here. Who would have guessed, right? Now, you're also going to want to go back to your avatar and create a new parameter for what you want to toggle. You're also going to add that to your animator as a boolean. Now, under the sphere driver, we are going to set this as sphere grab is grabbed, false on the return to idle, both of them. So that way, when you are not grabbing the bone, it will just reset to this default state that doesn't change anything. We're going to make a new transition from idle to on, and from there we're going to have sphere grab is grab true, and sphere false. This will make it so that when this sphere is off and you grab it, it'll transfer up to this on animation state. We're going to make another one going directly down to off. We're going to paste both, but we're going to change sphere false to sphere true. So now it will transfer to off when you grab, and the sphere is, on already. Now what you're going to want to do, because Unity is stupid and it adds this automatically, you're going to turn off exit time, and you're going to set the transition duration to 0 seconds. Just so that this all happens immediately as you grab it. Now, for the part that really makes the magic happen, we're going to expand this a little bit, and we're going to add behavior, VRChat parameter driver. We're going to tick local only, so that way it will only matter if you do it, so that way it will sync properly. We're going to drive the parameter sphere, and since this is the on animation, we're going to tick that box, so that way it will turn the sphere on. We're going to do the exact same thing down here, only instead of ticking the box, we're just going to leave it unchecked. Now, under our sphere equip animation, we're going to make it so off is the default state. We're going to add our on animation, and we're going to make a transition from both of them. We're going to turn off exit time, and I'm going to set this to 0.1 second, which is the length of a hand animation. We're going to set it so sphere equals true, go to on. Copy transition parameters, paste both, and change that true to false. Just like that, it's done. Now, that is the tutorial, but just to prove that it works and I'm not talking out of my ass, we're going to set that to go to the hip where it belongs, and we are going to hit our play button. Don't forget to take the animation controller out of the animator before clicking play. That's what I did wrong. Okay, so coming back after a cut, I figured out what the problem was. It was the fact I had that extra fizzbone bone, which was very annoying to figure out. Basically speaking, the way we have this set up, normally you would have a fizzbone as a bone. However, for some reason that wasn't working the way it was, which was annoying as all hell. But now it's seemingly working fine, which is mildly confusing to me. But basically, the whole point is that, as you can see, you grab it, it works, you grab the fizzbone where it's supposed to be again, and it goes back to where it was. I'm not exactly sure why that was a problem on this specific case, when it's usually not. I have a version of the Halo Reach shotgun that uses its own fizzbone for the grabbing, and that works entirely fine. But either way, that concludes this. You understand how it works now. Yippee.